Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a video on growing koi and specifically looking at koi development and my setup and the way I do things with temperature and filtration and stuff. And also this is going to be a weekly series on these koi in particular and how these are developing and sort of stuff that to look out for when selecting koi and so on and so on. But yeah, let's just get into the setup and how I do things. So these are the koi we're going to be looking into in terms of development. Nicknamed the Suicide Squad because for you that don't know, Seafast, who is in charge of our borders and ensuring we don't end up with diseases in our native rivers that could kill fish off, aka KHV, which is obviously the big one for koi that can wipe koi out. And they ensure we don't get none of that in our waterways. So when people are importing aquatic animals, they can demand to kill fish to test for KHV, because that's the only way you can test for it is by actually killing a fish and taking samples of the fish. So to ensure, obviously, people aren't importing fish with KHV, they can demand to kill a certain amount of animals. And when people fly out to these farms, these koi farms in Japan, or these particular fish are actually from a big farm in Poland called Yoshikigoi, and are actually the first koi to be imported from Europe for a long time, I believe, or the first ever to import it from Europe. So it's a pretty big deal, to be fair. So obviously Seafast can demand to kill a certain amount of animals to make sure they're not carrying KHV that can potentially cause big problems for the UK and native rivers or people's ponds, because if you've got KHV in your pond, that's it, every fish has got to go. No matter how much you pay for the fish, there is no real cure for it. So obviously they do a big deal to protect against that. And obviously when they fetch these fish over, they can demand to kill them. So when people are going over there to these farms and selecting fish, and they pay a lot of money for these fish and they'll leave it over there for a few years before they fetch it over, well, dealers don't want to be fetching these customers fish over there and then Seafast are going, oh, we want to kill them. So every time they fetch a certain amount of fish over, they have to fetch a reasonable amount of throwaway fish, I suppose, or fish that aren't really a big deal. So if Seafast said they can kill them, they obviously put these fish forward to say, oh, we'll kill these rather than these fish because these are customers' fish. So that's what basically these were. These were at Suicide Squad. These were fetched over to be killed if it was necessary. But that doesn't mean they're bad fish. I mean, I'm big friends with a lot of the dealers and the breeders and stuff, and I know Jos, and I've been over to Poland to select fish. Some of the fish in our pond we've hand selected in Poland. And what he said were basically they were rushing and they put a net in the mud pond and they pulled out these, so they don't have a clue what they are or what line they are or how good they are. So there could be some nice fish in here, and that's why I decided I had no fish in the grow on, so why not fetch these home and grow them on, because he had no use for them and there were no other pond that could put them in. So that's what basically these are. That's why they're called Suicide Squad. And in terms of development, they're doing quite well. I believe most of them are a new gene that Jos is creating, and I forget the name, I'll put it up in the edit. It's a really weird name and Jos created them. And they're like metallic black, grey, and they develop red. And I believe that's what most of these metallic ones are. And then such as that brown there, that's a Karashigoi, not a Karashigoi, sorry, a Kigoi. And then there's also a few Shirotsuris in here as well, as you can see. So they are a nicer range of fish in here. And obviously it'd be interesting to see the development of these fish, and as you can see I'm piling food in them to get that growth, but I'll go over the filtration stuff and the setup just to show you why I can do that. So an overview of the setup: it is a 500 gallon fiberglass tank with a bottom drainer, which you can buy from most fiberglass manufacturers, especially the ones that specialise in fish. And out of the bottom drainer it goes into the sieve, which is your mechanical filtration, takes out all your solids up to 350 to 400 microns, somewhere in between there. And obviously it collects there, and then once a day I just rinse it through the waste just to take all that solids off there. And then from there it goes into the heater, which is here, which is currently set at 26 degrees, and I'll go over that later on in temperature and stuff. But it averages 0.1 degree, as you can see it's 25.9, but it's going to do that anyway. And then from there it goes into a baki shower. It is a 4-tier baki shower, or I suppose it's more of a tower than a baki shower, but which were just made using really useful tubs, the 35 litre ones, then drilled the bottom and used the media. There's a range of media, there's Cypherex, There's this one which I forget what it's called, but it's a pretty new media up market, and it's just like some slender tubes with loads of grooves and holes in and stuff. And then I believe that's alpha grog, and a bit more alpha grog that was just left over, and it's got some oyster shells in and stuff like that, and also some more Sycorex there. And that's all it is really. I really like the really useful tubs because they are strengthened, and they also sit in between each other, so you've got no, that's not falling. It's also fixed to that shelf anyway, but they're sitting between each other, which just means they're a lot more sturdier. So then it obviously goes up through there, goes through all this, and I believe that pump is 12,000 litres an hour. So it's getting turned over quite a few times an hour, which is obviously what you're going to be doing when you're piling food in and growing fish. You need that turnover rate, you need good water quality anyway, but you need that turnover rate because they're producing more waste. And then from the back of your shower, it goes into this moving bed, which has got Micro K1 in, where I've just recently added another load because there was only 80 litres in there originally, and this is a 255 litre barrel. So we needed some more K1 in there, so I've just literally added another 25 litres, which is why that's not all sinking yet, but it was all sunken floating, but that's just some fresh K1 I've added. But over the next couple of days, that'll be floating around like the rest of it. But yeah, that's just the Micro K1 moving bed. But in terms of biological filtration, you can't really get much better than a back of shower and a moving bed. And then obviously from there, it comes out here, and then obviously returns back into the tank. But basically, since this was obviously falling over, this pipe here, it all drops into this here and then comes down this pipe, and this pipe just rains to the bottom of the barrel. So the water is coming out in the bottom and then working its way up through this moving bed of K1, and then the outlet is just that black pipe there, if you can see, and obviously it comes through here. That's just so the water's obviously mixing around with the K1 sufficiently enough to be filtered, I guess. And finally, the overflow, which is one of the best things you can add to any system. And it doesn't have to be loads of water you're changing. You can see there, it's just a small trickling, which if you put it over a 24-hour period, it turns out to be a lot of water you're changing. And that's key for growing koi, and I'll go over that later on, and I'll explain some stuff around there. But in terms of water quality, one of the best things you can add is a trickling, because it improves your water quality a hell of a lot. No matter what filters do, a good water change, you can't beat it. So, go a bit more in depth of what I was hinting at throughout the video. Growing koi, the big one is heat and water quality. So obviously, if your water quality is not there, your fish aren't in a great environment, they're not going to put all their efforts into growing because they don't feel great. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to produce, not going to develop like they should to their greatest capabilities, should I say. So obviously water quality, you've got to have it there, and obviously temperature, because its temperature is what triggers the metabolism. So they're digesting that protein, they're digesting that food, and they're putting it in the body to grow, and they can use it to grow. So at lower temperatures, their metabolism and their digestion system drops at lower temperatures, and they can't digest nowhere near the same amount of food, so you just pump it into your filters. And obviously your filters don't need that. So the aim is to get that temperature up there, which mine's at 26, so that is up there, it's quite a high temperature. Koi can go higher than that, but it's not necessary. They say above 24, you're pretty much there, but obviously I like to go that bit extra further, just so I'm giving them everything they can, so there's nothing I'm lacking out on, to make sure they develop to their greatest capabilities basically. So by having it up there in the 26. So yeah, and obviously my water quality, I'm filtered out. I've got a 250 litre moving bed, which has got 140 litres worth of K1 in it, Micro K1, as well as a backy shower, which would probably run this on itself as well. And I've got a trickle in, so I'm constantly changing water, and obviously that siev's taking out them solids. Although my water quality as well, which I need to highlight, in terms of visually, does look a bit murky, but that's not bad. There's a difference between being chemically not good water and visually. If you look into mud ponds and so on, mud ponds are brown, you can barely see them. It's obviously all the clays and the mud that's lines a mud pond is what makes them that colour. As well in wild when they're digging in mud, it doesn't bother them, and I believe it's algae growth because there's not a UV on this system, and it's got full sunlight with the window. So that's my views. I believe it's algae, but it also could be protein and other stuff in the water. But it doesn't affect them. Obviously, I run tests on my water. I'm filtered out at max, and I'm running a water change. So it's just because it visually doesn't look clean doesn't mean it's not. That's what I'm basically highlighting. And they also do prefer it murkier. Koi feel safer in murkier water because obviously that's what they used to it wild. They feel natural. Predators can't see them, and so on. Only reason we have ponds clear is for his own benefit to see his fish. So that's pretty much it. So yeah, now we've gone off topic a bit. We'll go obviously a bit more on topic. We're gonna have a filtration and temperature. Also, age is a big one with koi. You've basically got between 2 to 3 years to get good size on koi, because after that 2 to 3 years, a koi's metabolism halves, so they can't digest the same amount of food, and so on and so on. So obviously that's when you lose out on that gap of growing koi. That's why it'd be kind of pointless to try and do this with big koi in a pond. You better just leave them where they're happy and just feed them, and they'll still grow. They'll just not grow as fast as they will at 1, 2, 3 year old. So obviously the aim is to get small koi, put them in here, bang that temperature. I mean, this temperature will stop at 26 degrees for the next 2 years. They don't need the winter when they're small. The only time wintering becomes necessary is when they're older, and obviously they get eggs and so on and so on. You get problems with egg bound. You need to winter them, and they do need a winter anyway naturally, even despite the eggs. It is a good chilling out period for them. They get to like, don't feed them, and they'll get rid of all the toxins out of the body. All fruit season are piling on food and growth. So it is good to winter them. Koi do need that winter, but in the first few years of their life, it's not necessary. And like I said, these will be at 26 degrees for the next 12 to 24 months. And I'll just be piling food in them at the same speed. So since we've just gone on that, with food is very important. You need to use a good food. It's what you put into them is what you're going to get out of them with food. So you've got to use a quality food, and I'm basically using up the rest of this Queni Koi winter mix that I've had left over. But then after this, hopefully I'll be going on to saki hikari. Saki hikari, in my opinion, is one of the best foods on the market for fish, in koi in general, or fish in general. Hikari is one of the best food manufacturers on the market. But with koi, saki hikari, if you can splash out on that extra amount of money it's going to cost, do it, and you will get great results in terms of skin and also size. Because as you can imagine, if you're an athlete, you're not going to be just eating crap and so on and so on. And it's same for your koi. If you're just feeding a cheap, crappy food that's made in thousands and sold at garden centres, that's all you're going to get out of your koi. They can't digest it as well. It's not good for them basically. And half the time they can't even use it, and they just crap it out as waste. So you're literally just feeding your filters and putting more strain on your filters, which you don't need to be doing. So aim for that quality food so your fish can use it, and you'll be putting less strain on your filters, less waste in your water, and you'll get 10 times better results than you will with any cheap food. So just to go over a few of the points I've highlighted, I once sat through a talk where a guy was explaining apparently koi release a pheromone or a chemical into the water which stops them out competing each other. And obviously the percentage of this pheromone in the water depends on whether the fish grows or not, because they don't obviously want to out-compete each other for food. And obviously if you're in an overstocked pond, you're not going to get growth results, and that's what you were basically explaining. And that's why Japan get the growth results they do, because they have massive volumes of water, they have huge mud ponds, which you couldn't recreate man-made in a pond. And they don't stock it heavily. There's only like, in terms of gallonage, there's a few hundred fish in it, but these lakes are huge, and obviously that's why they get the growth results to do. And you were saying about obviously this enzyme, because obviously this chemical or this pheromone or whatever they're releasing into the water, this level is low, and obviously through that's why fish grow. Which is why I explain with growing fish that changing water is so important, because if this pheromone or chemical is a thing, which I'm not saying it is, and I haven't done much research into it, but the Spy's point, it does your water quality good anyway. So, but even if it is a thing, you want to be changing that water out. You want to be doing good water changes to keep this pheromone level down low, so you're not impeding on your fish's development or growth, and obviously you're going to be getting good growth results. So that's basically what I was going over about. So we've pretty much highlighted everything. Keep your water quality good, keep them water changes, over filter, keep your temperatures up, It's a steady. Don't let your temperatures fluctuate either too much. Keep that temperature there at that same. Because obviously fluctuation, you can fluctuate a bit with a few degrees, but try and keep it at a steady level constantly. Consistency basically. So you don't want massive changes, because obviously it just stresses your fish out. So stay consistent, do your water changes, over filter, feed a quality food, because obviously what you print on is what you're going to get out of them. And then obviously have great success with growing koi. That's just a brief overview on how I do it and what I do to grow koi. And hopefully you can take information from this video, implement it and get great results basically. That's what I'm hoping for. And also stay tuned, I'm going to be doing this weekly or every 2 weeks. Just an update on the fish development, and hopefully I'm going to be grabbing a few fish out and sizing them, because there is a few fish in here that's doing tremendously well with growth and are a lot bigger. All these fish are the same age, all spawned around the same age, and some fish are a lot bigger than others. Genetics does also play a part with koi, but I'll go over that in another video. That's kind of, you know what I mean, this video's gone on long enough, and that's kind of a mind mash. But you can get good regrowth results and without having to go into genetics. Just keep your water well. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you could like, comment and subscribe, it'd be greatly appreciated. And also let me know how you get on in the comments, if you've used any of this information, if you've had good success with it as well, because I'd like to hear your feedback. Obviously this is just what works for me, so on and so on. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video and stay tuned for the next one.